Good afternoon. I'm Gloria Nelson with TUG, and it's my pleasure to be your host this afternoon. As you settle in and get ready for the start of today's webinar, let me give you a brief introduction for TUG, the usergroup.org, for both our current members as well as those of you who represent organizations that have not yet joined our online community for in-for distribution software users. We've all heard the phrase knowledge is power, and I can say with confidence that after today's presentation, you'll be waking up tomorrow with a little more of both. But today's just one presentation. Timeline forums and member events facilitate the timely exchange of ideas and information to help you work smarter and with more confidence. Now that's a powerful combination. If you're currently a member, it pays to get more involved. And if you're not, please visit our website to discover why 2,300 heads are better than one to help you be the best at what you do. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Paul Boushell and Ralph Wallace, who are going to take you through UnForm version 10 for fax this afternoon. So let me just do a quick behind the scene change of order here. And okay. Ralph, go ahead. Away.
Gloria, you want to flip to the next slide, and I'll step through that.
Yeah, so we'll start with the slide presentation, and then I'll pick up the demo afterwards.
Gloria, you want to flip to the first slide?
I am on your UnForm version 10 end-to-end for fax. Hold on just a moment here. I apologize for this little snafu of production.
There it is. Yes. So again, I'm Paul Boushell with Synergetic Data Systems, also known as UnForm.
And are you seeing that okay?
Yes, we got it.
Technical difficulty here.
You good, Gloria? So, Gloria, are you ready? Ralph, can you hear me?
Yeah, Paul, I think you're fine. So perhaps maybe you might start.
Okay. So again, thank you for coming today, and I'm sure we'll get
to here. I apologize for.
So we'll go ahead and get started here. Just as kind of a quick overview, I know a good many of you are using UnForm today. Hopefully, most of you are using document management as well. We came out with version 10 just about a year and a half ago, and there's a tremendous amount of enhancements and new capabilities that are built into it. You know, one of which is Image Manager it's a completely new application that allows you to do quite a bit of automation for your document capture. There's also been you know, a number of other areas where enhancements have been added, including archiving speed. There's multiple deployment options now, better deployment options. There's user interface options that have changed as well. And today, we're very fortunate to have Ralph Wallace from the Sequoia Group with us. He's going to step us through how some of those updates and enhancements can further streamline your company's document management needs. So I am going to turn it over to Ralph.
Thanks, Paul. And go ahead and flip the slide there. Well, thanks, Paul. I've been a big fan of UnForm document management since it first came out over 11 years ago. While time doesn't allow showing all the new functionality, what I'd like to share today is some of the features, some of the most significant ones, and how upgrading to version 10 can further streamline your company's document management needs. And if you're not a user, how you can start dealing with that iceberg that is paper management. So Gloria, if you'll go ahead and advance the slide, please.
Gloria, it's Gary. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, I'm gonna have to call in.
No problem, Gary. So you just tip to that next slide there. It's just cue it up for me. if not, I can always,
I have it on
yeah.
I have it on the added UI features. It's showing up on my screen. I'm not sure why you're not seeing it. Did you want me to go back one to the first slide of faster
No,
archiving?
well, go forward. So the one with the three graphics on it. So I'm going to talk about, again, I'm going to break into the three categories of improvements on UnForm there. So
I
it's,
have your enhancement slide up.
Yeah, that's not what we're seeing, Gloria. We're seeing the UnForm end-to-end for facts slide.
yeah, we're seeing Paul's slide there. So, and we're going to do a live demo, but what I wanted to do, I wanted to start with just a quick overview and just describe some of the new functionality that I'm going to be sharing with you on screen there. So technology is a wonderful thing when it works. We did a lot of practice here, so we'll just wait for that slide to tee up here.
Gloria, this is Gary. Is there something I can help with?
Let me just look real quick here. I apologize.
Are we trying to get to Ralph's screen?
I apologize to those that are online viewing. I'm actually sharing my screen and I'm on the faster archiving slide for the gentleman. And I don't know why it's not coming through on the viewer end.
You want to, would it help to just turn it over to Ralph? Ralph, do you have the PowerPoint up?
Well, I don't, but I guess I know here. Maybe this is going to be fairly short. So rather than worrying about the bullet points, let me maybe just talk through it. And this will only take a few moments. And then at that point, Gloria, maybe if you'll turn the control over to me, then we can get into the actual live demo. So the enhancements, okay. The enhancements fall into three categories. So as Paul mentioned, one of them is archiving speed. The second was added user interface options. And then finally, improved scanning productivity. Now, to maximize throughput in larger environments, UnForm now supports the use of multiple print servers. They can be dedicated to a specific site, or they can be shared among all the print requests. And there's also failover protection. So if one of the servers should go down, then immediately all the print requests are routed to the remaining servers. Now, even for those of you who just have a single print server, there still is an advantage. The architecture is based upon adding, it's a spooler subsystem behind it. So what that means is now the overall speed it's literally it's twice as fast, because previously what UnForm would do would send the content to the printer and then secondarily have to send it to file. So now that's handled in background. So you get control of your menu much, much faster. Now, the ability to drill back to source documents from statements and invoices and registers has always been a powerful feature. But recently, that capability was made difficult a couple of years ago when popular browsers like Firefox, they ceased support of the built-in PDF readers and they did this for reasons of added security. Now, SCSI responded by creating a web extension to reinstate that functionality. But unfortunately, it only worked with Chrome. So if you use some other browsers, it wouldn't work. But with UnForm 10, there's a new embedded browser. And it works with an embedded viewer, and it works with all of the popular browsers. So now, no longer is your choice limited. And occasions when you want to quickly view all of the images that are related to a particular document, there is a new ability to select all of them with a single checkbox. And when searching across multiple libraries, visibility as to the originating library is now improved because there's a new column in the results where you can see exactly in which of the libraries that particular result occurred. And then finally, you can quickly link one document to another just by noting the other document's properties without having to store both of them together. So for example, I know some people, when they have a vendor invoice, they might attach it to, well, your purchase order. And I know other people might attach the invoice, well, to the vendor in the invoice number. Well, in my mind, the answer should be both. And in a few minutes, I'll show you just how easy that is to do. But the big news, as Paul indicated, is the all new version of Image Manager. Deployment and configuration for users is now greatly simplified because it's now done at the server level. So there's one installation for the entire system. So what that means is no longer do you have to install the Image Manager software on each workstation and make sure that you've got ODBC connectivity for each of those. And I know recently, Microsoft had ceased support for Windows 7 earlier this year. And I know in our customer base, we had a number of people who migrated to a new workstation. Well, we had to reinstall the software, reconfigure it. So now in the new world, you can migrate to a new workstation virtually instantly because everything is now browser-based. So one application that you're accustomed to using now works with not only viewing the archives, but also with Image Manager and doing the capturing of them as well. Now think about how Image Manager used to work in the past. So what you did was you ran the program, and then you chose, I'm going to import some images, and then you selected a job, fax docs or AP doc or whatever, and then from there you chose a file folder, and then you said go ahead and import. Now the jobs ran and then populated your screen, and you were looking for the happy checkbox to make sure all were validated, and well, if they weren't, you could manually fix the document properties, and then you clicked the green button and you were done. Now, UnForm constantly monitors either an incoming folder or an email address. So the entire process can be completely automated without user intervention. Now, you still probably need to check the queue if there might be a document that, for whatever reason, fails validation. Maybe the print quality is bad because the toner was weak, or maybe a document got rotated. But not a big deal. You just manually can fix the document properties and then go ahead and upload those. So now for the workstation, let me mention too, the workstation version is still available for those of you who may have some jobs or older jobs that haven't been converted to the new scripting language. So you can use both the new and the old alike until you're able to get to the new world. All right, so now, yeah, there we go. So that was the last one there. So now if we can go ahead and let's switch over. Let me go ahead and show folks what it looks like on screen. All right, there we go. So hopefully everyone, can we see my browser here for UnForm? So what I'd like to do is start off with a few new setup considerations. So let's talk about the new viewer. So here I'm logged in and I'm user admin. So I'm going to go to admin and then I'm going to go to, let's see, options. Where's my options? Whoops. Oh, excuse me. Settings and options, Ralph. There we go. So here you'll notice there are a couple of tick marks, and these also can be set. This is for the session, but they can also be set as default. So most people typically you want to show all images as PDF, but this is the new viewer. So show PDF files in the PDF.js viewer. So make sure that is ticked, and save that change, and then you can go ahead and exit. Now, let me also show under admin, I was getting ahead of myself, and users. So this is where you maintain the user information. And I'm just going to choose the sales user here in my demo. And if you look over to the right, as I scroll down, so now this is where you control whether a user is licensed for using Image Manager, among some other things too. Now, let me also mention too, let's switch over to the Access tab. Now, as before, users have security based on the library, which is pretty much on a module-based basis, although you certainly can change that. Now, from the outset, you need to have read access in order to see the archives, but for anyone doing Image Manager, as before, they need to have write capability as well. So make sure for those particular folders, like if they're uploading, say, pick tickets or shipping documents, that they would have access to sales order or purchase orders. Now, there's another consideration too. I mentioned there will be inbound folders, and I'm going to show you those in a minute, but make sure also that the image manager person has at least read access to those inbound folders. Okay, so make sure you save those changes. Okay, fine. All right, so now let me look at here we go. Got my trusty notes here, so I don't forget anything. Under admin, it is here where you find the inbound sources. So this is defining where we're going to get the content, and there are a couple of different flavors that you might have. So here, for example, I've got one called AP invoice. And over to the right, you'll notice it'll ask the question, is this a monitored path or an email address? In operation, this is pretty much going to be, or can be, an email address. Now, in my demo, I drove my demo nuts by first having it monitor all my emails, so I turned that off. But this is a way that as vendors send you their invoices as a PDF attachment, then UnForm can monitor those incoming emails and then automatically work upon them. Now, also, you'll note here the question of OCR, or optical character recognition. And that's key in a vendor invoice in that enables UnForm to scrape or to locate information from the particular document, such as the invoice amount and a purchase order number if it's required. Now, the second example is probably more typical. This is the fax doc, and this would definitely be a monitored path. So there, as your MOPI or your scanner has created the files, then you would put them there. Now, let me mention one change. Before, it was typical, especially if you had a header attached job, where, for example, you had a sales order followed by a lot of shipping documents, then those were typically all separate files. Now, today, with the fact that everything is being monitored as an entirety, now you want to create all of those into a single batch. So it may be a very large batch, but you would have all of the images, so all of the documents, and if there are related shipping documents or receiving documents, all of those would be built into that one file as you go there. So those are the incoming. That's the incoming folders that we define. Now, maybe here, this might be a good time to go ahead and queue up our first poll question, Gloria. Is that something we could go ahead and do now?
You should be seeing that on your screen.
All right, so maybe do I need to click over here? Nope, maybe not. Okay, so I guess that's...
There we go. Are you seeing it now? There we go.
Okay. So we'll just leave that question up here and let you folks respond to that as you will. Now, let's say you've just scanned a vendor invoice, or one's come in through an email, and you would like to associate that with its purchase order. So let me show you how easy that is to do. So here, what we'll do, let's go ahead and I'm going to use OneDoc. And so here, what we'll do is we'll go into, let's locate from the purchase order library, a purchase order, and I'll put in one of my document numbers here. There we go. Okay, so here's the purchase order, and what we see, here are my little thumbnails. I've got the original purchase order as it was sent, and then here I've got some scanned receiving documents along with it. Now, what I want to do is link that to the vendor invoice. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edit, and then I'm going to scroll down. And you'll notice here, this is the section called Links. So what we need to do is put in the properties for the vendor invoice. Now, there is a little structure to the usage, but it's straightforward. The first part is knowing what that library is. Now, in this case, the library name is, let me get my pointer here, Accounts Payable. And then you'll notice that following a library, there's a hyphen and a number. And that's your company number. So usually it's 01, but it may be 03 or it may be something else. So that is the library. Now we need a separator, and that is the pipe character. That's that vertical, it's that broken bar. And the next piece we need to know is the document type. So in this case, it is the vendor invoice, if I could spell, another separator, and then finally the vendor number or code with, so here, this will be vendor V100, a dash or a hyphen, and then the invoice number. So I'll put in the invoice number. So that's what you need to do. So what I'll do then, let's go ahead and save that change. Okay. So here we've got our images here, and I'll go ahead and I'll mark those particular two. And here there's a tab for links. We'll go to links. So now you'll find here's a hyperlink. It's underlined in blue. And that will take me to my vendor invoice that I previously scanned. So I will go ahead and I'll mark that one as well. So we can now close out of our OneDoc here. And let's go to marked images. So we'll go to marked and images here. So now we see the three that we've chosen, and I'll just click, I'll say, well, show me all. Now, this isn't a new feature of 10, but it's a very useful one that maybe not everyone knows about. It's called multi-view. So when I click multi-view, what that shows me now is all three of my documents, or it could be even more if necessary. So in this window, I've got my original purchase order, followed by any shipping, or excuse me, in this case, it would be receiving documents, and then finally, well, in my demo data, a vendor invoice. And each of these windows, you can scroll, or you can, here I can magnify if I need to close in a little bit to see more detail. So here again, it's very easy to now link one document to another, and then also in this case for triple matching, how easy it is to do. Now I found out just recently that the developer who works for us has added this into the vendor job. So he has automated the process of making this link. Now, in that case, it did require, again, going back to using OCR, that we're able to locate that purchase order number on the vendor's invoice. And usually that's pretty easy to do. So in that case, Kevin was able to go ahead and make that link automatically. So we'll go ahead and close that. All right, so now I'm going to exit from here, and I'm going to go to the home portal. Now here, this is where you'll notice Image Manager is now a new menu option. So let me go ahead and, well, I'll tell you what, before I do that, let me return, going back to my notes here, let me go back to document archiving. Let me mention something else here. Let me go to Documents and Search. And this is another tool that I've found not many people are taking full advantage of it, and there's a lot of things you can do with it. So I mentioned earlier that the notion about searching and getting results across multiple libraries. So let's just create a new search, and I'm going to select both sales orders and purchase orders here, and I'll just go to keywords. We'll just look for some text found here, and I'm just going to use the word acid because I know that's found in some documents. And then we'll say, go ahead and run it. So let's look at all the documents and let's find occurrences for that. So you'll notice here, this is the new column that shows you in which library that particular element was found. So here we can see the first one was found in the PO folder, while the other three were found, those were in sales orders. Now, one more thing too, and I've talked about this in tips before, UnForm can find what's not there. All right, you might think, Ralph, what do you mean by that? Well, let me show you. So think about those occasions where you pretty much want to make sure that you have got either shipping documents associated with your pick tickets or receiving documents associated with your POs. So you want to make sure that nothing has gotten skipped. So let me show you how to do that. So in this example, what we'll do is we'll say, let's go to sales orders. And we will go to the type field, or the type element, and we'll say, let's look at only pick tickets. Now, I'm going to leave the dates wide open, but you probably might want to do this, use a date range. So you might say, show me all of the pick tickets that we scanned, say, last week, or whatever duration you want. And here's the final piece. We're going to go to Fields, and we're going to go now to Sub-Identification. And you probably remember that a scan is one of the so-called sub-IDs. So what we're going to ask to look for is not scan. Show me where there is not a scan associated with those pick tickets that fell within that range. So then when I run, and hopefully you will get an empty result. But this would be one to ensure that if you've got documents where you want to make sure that there are scans associated with them, then using the search tool and using not is an easy way to do that. All right, and then one more thing while I'm here. Now, one of the browser that I prefer, I like Firefox. So I've used Chrome, but I guess I'm an old timer here. So let me show you about that new viewer. So here, let's do the same thing. I'm going to use OneDoc. In this case, let's go back to sales order, and I'm going to go for an invoice. And in this, let me find, let's find this particular invoice. And we'll have the images here. Okay, so here's a given fax invoice, and you're probably accustomed to seeing here, kind of in the middle, this, here is the sales order or the document it was associated with. So here you've got that blue underline. And when I click it, it works. So here, of course, it's taking me back to the pick ticket. And in this case, if I wanted to get to the signed proof of delivery or the shipping documents, now those links work once again, even in a secure world. So here again, whatever browser you're using now with UnForm 10, that popular capability still works. All right, so now let me get back to Image Manager, but I did want to show you this couple of things here. So again, we'll exit to the home portal, and Image Manager again is now a new menu option. So let me go ahead and select that. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to simulate a very simple scan process. Now ultimately what I'd like to do is have it run completely unattended. But if I were to do that now, well, you wouldn't see anything happen. So I'm going to take it halfway there, and I'll show you how you can get it fully automated. Now over to the left here, I have queued up a couple of things here. So what I'm going to do, I am just going to highlight a couple of scan documents in my demo environment here. So I'm just going to copy those, and I'm going to drop them in my incoming folder. So here I'm just going to paste these 3 documents here. And what you're going to notice is very quickly, they're going to disappear. They're gone. So what's happening now is that UnForm is processing the job. So at this point, and I'll go ahead and switch back over to Image Manager as it's running through them. Now it does take a moment for this to occur. So let me just pause here while we get all 3 of those run. And this was a fax doc. So here I'll return here. So here are my 3 documents. So here, all 3 of them, they validated perfectly. We've got the checkbox, they're ready to go. If I were to click on one, if you'll look over to the right, you'll see the document properties have been fully filled out. Now, if they weren't, if there were a challenge, again, you've got that rotated image or weak toner, you'll notice there's an image tab. So I could click on that. It's kind of small here, but if I wanted to, and of course I'm on my small laptop, but I could enlarge this. So if there were a question, what is the number or something, then you could easily see that and then go back to the document properties, and then you could fix it. So now these are ready to go. So in this semi-manual element, I would just click the box here, and then I would then click the checkbox, and they would be uploaded. Now let me show you though, and this will be something your partner could do probably once you're happy, once the jobs have been tested and you're confident that everything is working well. Let me go over to the right here, and I am going to go into the job definitions. So here, let me go into fax docs. So this is the one we've been running for the ones that have barcodes, ones you've probably been using all the time. And we'll go into parameters. So there are 2 useful parameters here, and one I didn't talk about. Let me cover that one. Auto user. So in the old days, well, the user initiated the pulling of files, so that was implicit. Today, because the files are automatically coming in, there are 2 ways to handle that. Either you can have them go into just an open queue, and then your people can go in and select them, or they can be automatically assigned by job to an individual user. So that's what I did in my case. So that's why they immediately appeared in my list. So here I said, yes, auto user, I want to automatically assign those to me. Now the other and the final piece is auto transfer. Now you'll notice I have this turned off, but all you need to do is just click this and say, I want to change that value to on. So once you're happy and all of the jobs are testing out, now whether you are monitoring an incoming file folder or incoming email addresses, then all of the jobs now can run hands-free and completely get everything done. So I am just excited about the new capabilities that the new image manager has brought, as well as some of the other things. Now, let me also mention that UnForm 10, at least in the fax world, was introduced at version 9.3. So that is that's when it is officially supported by Infor. So with that, that's the end of my piece. So maybe then I'll relinquish control back to you, Gloria.
Thanks, Ralph. Let me just see here. Do we have any questions, Paul?
So I think you just answered the first one, Ralph. It was, do I have to upgrade to fax 9.3 in order to benefit from using UnForm 10?
Well, while that's the official answer, no, the answer is you don't have to. In fact, we have at least one user who's running 9.2 that we were able to retrofit that. And I'm told that other partners have gone back even further. So even though some of the new functionality has been added, the conversation, if you will, from both UnForm to fax and fax to UnForm, it really hasn't changed. So there are some things kind of under the hood that need to be done, but I would check with your partner. And I know we've done it, so if there's any questions, and certainly you can contact me, and you know, Kevin might be able to assist them. But the shorter answer is I think we know folks who've gone back, and Paul, I think you told as early as like 7.9. So even though there are a lot of reasons to go to 9.3, moving to UnForm 10 is not necessarily one of them.
Okay. Let's see. How about can I still use the original desktop version of Image Manager?
Sure.
Yeah. So that's the question.
Exactly, and we had that challenge a bit for the beginning, in that the new version of Image Manager requires a completely new scripting language, and because of that, they have to be adapted into the new world. So the answer is, yeah, you can continue to use the older one. Well, if you prefer that, or it may well be that you have got some custom scripts. You know, there were 3 standard scripts in the fax world, but if you had some custom ones that, if they have not yet been converted to the new Image Manager convention, you can still use again that older version. So yeah, no problem.
Okay, waiting to see if there's some more questions coming in here.
Oh, and maybe one more thing. I think we have another poll question. So maybe, I think I forgot that, Gloria. Maybe it might be a time we might put up one more of those poll questions. There we go. And I tell you what, this is one that we have really embraced more deeply in the new world. If you remember, the old one was, well, it was more of an automated way for you to enter the information. But now with the powerful scanning capabilities, we have one customer in particular, I think they process 4 or 5 different vendors. And what our developer did was he created it for one and then adapted it to the other. And for them, that ended up being a real time saver in terms of processing, say, vendor invoices.
Okay, Ralph, we had another question come in. What
Sure.
about the Outlook connector piece? Has this been replaced?
Well, and this is something that I heard that Alan told me when I was at TUG. So the short answer is, and may need clarification, I think that no longer exists. And I think the challenge there is that moving from the Visual Basic world, which was the language behind the old Image Manager, now to a browser, that isn't capable. Now, having said that, the powerful new scripting capabilities that are added with the new version probably there's a way to get around that. And in fact, last week, Brian from SDSI had a great webinar talking about any number of fancy things you can do in terms of how you can use OCR to process it or pull things out. So yeah, I remember one lady was, when she'd get a vendor invoice, it would be in her inbox, and then she would from there transfer it directly over to Outlook. Well, there, and that's where that monitoring the inbound email address could work. And even with that, there are a couple ways to do it. So I think ultimately that is the most streamlined answer, because it just happens automatically.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's key, Ralph, is the fact that we can monitor email boxes now. So documents can be forwarded to a monitored email address and processed that way.
Sure.
So see if we've got anything else coming in. I think this one is, we are considering a move to CSD. Can UnForm document management come with us?
Well, the short answer is yes. Now, the integration works a little differently. And in fact, you may be aware the Cloud Suite comes with IDM, Infor Document Management. And UnForm can talk with IDM as well. So if you're accustomed to UnForm and like the way it works, and there you might check more directly with SDSI or your partner. But I know, having seen some of what Alan had done at TUG back in March, I know the answer is yes. I can't go into much details of it. I can't show it, but I know there is some ongoing integration with it, just as UnForm work with SX.enterprise. So even the Chewy or the GUI versions of SX.enterprise also work with UnForm.
Yeah, maybe that would be a good topic for the next webinar, so we can look into that. Gloria, I'm not seeing any other questions coming in, so.
Well, can you gentlemen go ahead and share the best way to reach out to you if someone wants to follow up? I've pulled up a slide. Hope you can all see it with your contact information. But if you want to give your personal contact information, that would be great, gentlemen.
Sure. Again, you can get in touch with me at synergetic-data.com. And my phone number's up there on the screen. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Ralph, I think you're just as easy to find as I am. So
there you go. I have a long email address, but at least it's logical. So it's ralph.wallace@sequoiagroup.com. And even I sometimes misspell Sequoia. And there's my phone number as well. So any questions you might have, we'll be happy to answer them for you.
Well, Paul and Ralph, thank you so much for your expertise that you've shared this afternoon. And also thank you very much to everyone who logged on with us this afternoon for the content. And if you are a TUG member, just a quick reminder that if you do have any further questions or comments, please make sure to move this conversation over to our TUG forum, and you'll get quick responses there, as I know both Paul and Ralph monitor that fax board. And also, if you're not currently a member, please visit us at www.theusergroup.org and join us. We'd love to have you become part of the TUG family. Thanks so much, gentlemen. And as I say in Hollywood, that's a wrap. Have a great day.